Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to tell you about a product that I just started using. Well, I'm beginning to use on camera, at least. And this is all in an effort to kind of bring my brewing practice into the 21st century. It's all about data. I love data. I'm a total computer nerd. And what I'm talking about is Plaato Airlock. You guys have probably seen me talk about the Plaato Airlock before. I have been using it for years now. And what it is essentially just an airlock that records the amount of CO2 that's expelled from your beer, and that in turn gives you ABV, final gravity, all the good stuff. It also records temperature, so you can always kind of know what temp your beer is at. I also have a temperature probe on this guy, and what I really like about the Plaato systems is it's all wireless, so I don't have to come all the way into the garage to see how cold my beer is, basically. If I trip a circuit in my garage on accident and the temperature starts to rise, which I can't have, I will know about it. And you can set up push alerts for all this stuff. I actually just set up a push alert for the keg system so that I know when someone's stealing my beer. The Airlock won a Red Dot Award in 2018 for design, and the Plaato keg won a couple Red Dot Awards in 2020. So, they're not just some gimmicky thing. They're tried and true, winning awards, doing great stuff. So let's get into it. This is what it looks like. It kind of looks like a standard airlock, right? Except more high tech. This plugs in, so you do have to have some power to get it to work. And fortunately, they send you an incredibly long cord. It just hooks into a USB. It's got a little waterproof dealie on it, so you don't have to worry. So it just fits in a typical little airlock thing. Of course, this is the only one that fits on this fermenter. All right, so I'm gonna just plug this in so then we can get started setting it up. All right, lights are on. So there's a whole app that Plaato's developed as well that runs this thing. And one thing I really, 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 really love about it is you can actually also connect it to your Brewfather. So you don't have to input your final gravity or anything. You just sync your Plaato app with your Brewfather app, and it will show you the same graphs on Brewfather. It is so cool. I really love the coordination that Plaato's done with a lot of these companies. I'm going to fill this up to the fill line with just sanitizer. So this is the third version of this, and the thing they did to make the third version better is they redesigned the little thing that sits inside, and that makes it so that you can do longer fermentations without the interior, I don't even know what to call it, but it won't expand, and you can basically ferment for way longer. Before you would kind of have to let it dry out, but now it's a lot simpler. I always would just go from one beer to the other, so I would have times where I would need to pull it out, let it dry out, and this should hopefully fix that problem. Okay, so I'm gonna go into my Plaato app. You can see I have my Plaato keg there. I've only set up one so far. We're gonna add a new device, do the Wi-Fi deal. It's in setup mode if it has the 3 lights breathing. You gotta connect to the Plaato Wi-Fi. Hit already connected. All right. So I'm just gonna call this Plaato Airlock so I know what I'm talking about. Finish. So this is my lime lager. Basically, you put in your original gravity and choose your metric or US. Set your volume. I had 5.5 gallons. Okay. My original gravity was 1.054. I know that's high for a lager. And my yeast type is a Kvike. Okay, so I'm hitting start new batch. So you can also update your specific gravity if you want to manually do it. And then this webhook is how you connect it to your brewfather. So we are monitoring now. The temperature is 77 degrees. It's actually cooler inside, but it's 92 degrees in this garage. So I'm still going to use my temperature probe with my brew belt because that's going to run my cooling. And it's hot enough, as you know, that it's going to almost be a challenge to keep it at 68. I'll show you guys once it's actually fermenting what it looks like because it's amazing. My favorite term, I think, in all of brewing, it comes from this app and it's bubbles per minute. Amazing. I love it. All right, so as you can see, it tells you how many bubbles, how much CO2 it's produced, how much CO2 I should be pumping into my beautiful plants. And it'll tell you the alcohol level as it goes, and there's a whole graph that shows you how the temperature changes, how the fermentation chamber changes, and how the gravity changes. So fermentation and gravity are like opposites, so you'll just kind of have like a cross there, and then temperature, you can just kind of see how much it fluctuates wherever you keep your beer, which if you aren't using a system that has a way to read temperature and maintain temperature, it's really important to know. What I always tell people is that the number one thing that, at least in my practice, I've noticed is if I ferment too hot, my beer is crap. And I've got a glycol system, I've got this Peltier technology to kind of mitigate that. And once I implemented my temperature controls, my brewing has never been better. So I think it's really important. I mean, this way, if you're, fermenting in your laundry room or whatever, that's usually where I throw my beers if I don't have a temperature control and don't want to leave them in the garage, because the garage is hardly insulated and fluctuates wildly. So that's where I usually do it. But if you want to make sure that your temperature is actually consistent, this is a good way to do so. All right, so I'm going to show you guys how to set it up with Brewfather. Granted, I haven't done this in a while, so bear with me. Okay, so power-ups. We've got the Plaato Airlock. I need to turn that off and turn it back on because I got a new one. And Plaato Keg. So we're going to do both of these. Enable webhook. Okay, so I have to copy this URL, go into my Airlock, paste the webhook, click send. All right, and then we can go to our devices. So it sends to Brewfather every 15 minutes, which means, unfortunately, I'm going to have to wait. But then you just go into your devices and then you'll be able to see it. And you can select which batch your Airlock is connected to, and it works great. I'm so impatient that I just refresh and refresh and refresh. So here's what it looks like when you actually have a beer brewing. So you can see the bubbles per minute, the alcohol, and then we're gonna hop over to Brewfather and you can see the same kind of graph. And if you scroll through, you can kind of see where everything was at different times. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you liked this. And for the time being, you can actually get a discount at Plaato using the code FLORA10 for 10% off.